Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be pulling all of my Ancient Shards. As you can see, the portal is blue. It's a ×2 on Ancients. So I'm just going to jump in. I'm just going to do all of the shards, all of my Ancient Shards that I have on both of my accounts. I've got 104 on this account and I've got 100 on the other. I do have a confession to make. I did buy some with gems just so I could make it 100. I think I had about 70 on this account and about 90 on the other account. So I didn't have to spend too many gems, but I definitely did spend gems just so it was 100. I couldn't quite face not doing it without 100. We're going to be doing it in line with the Champion Chase tournament for Emic Trunkheart. I'll just pull up the Champion Chase tournament now. So you need 3,650 points for the shards for the epic to be able to fuse Emic. I'm sure I'm going to have more than enough shards. Good luck to the people out there that are also doing this. Maybe don't have the privilege of being able to buy shards with gems. So yeah, absolutely good luck. And if you get to pull an extra epic of this epic, an extra copy of this epic, then all the better for doing the fusion. Absolutely, I'm looking for if I get her, it's just less work I have to do. And just throughout the week, I've just been pumping along and just doing all of the different events for Emic. The Fire Night tournament's live with a Dungeon Diver coming live any second, if not already. Oh, we got 15 hours for the next Dungeon Diver, but I've done all of the tournaments. I think all we've got left is a Spider tournament for Emic, which I'll be able to do easy. That's no problem, and hopefully it's in line with the next Dungeon Diver. I did say that it was going to be one of the fusions that have 3 different summon events, and I thought that was the case. I thought it was going to span over 3 weekends, but it's not. There was just a random midweek summon event throughout this week that's just gone. And I didn't do it. It was worth. I think you could have got 50 fragments for the epic. I didn't do it. I don't think it was necessary. I think it was just Raid's way of getting more money out of us and getting us to pull our shards unnecessarily, to be honest. So I didn't put any of those. I've still got my sacreds that I had left over from last week, and I'm just going to work on them until the next fragment or fusion. So I've been making some room in the background today. I've got a little bit of room on this account. I think I've got about the same amount of room, so I am going to have to stop and clear out all of my champions and make food and clear out all of the food in between pulling all these shards. But I am going to pull all of the Ancients. Before we get into it, I'm going to start pulling. I've got the 250 fragments for the epic, so I'm going to pull her twice just because it's extra points towards the Champion Chase. So that's copy number 1 and copy number 2, which means I'm 50% for the Emic Trunkheart. I've got 25 shards from one of my last events that I did. 20, where's she gone? 50 shards. I've got 50 shards from the events. With the Champion Training and the Champion Chase, that'll be another copy, and then we've just got to wait it out for the last copy, and then we'll be able to fuse Emic. So that's the 2 of those. And let's just get into pulling shards, I think. And before we get pulling shards, guys, if you like my content and want to see more of it, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Subscribing means an absolute huge amount to me. I've got around 90 subscribers now, and the big milestone, the one I've been aiming for right from the start of creating this channel, is 100 subscribers. With 100 subscribers, I know that I'm making good content that people enjoy, so I just want to get to that number, and then I can think about other milestones later on. But 100 will mean a huge amount to me. So if you like my content, like the video, subscribe to my channel. Let's get into pulling shards. On to the first temple. I'm absolutely going to have to make room, and I'm not really looking for anything special on this one. I'm always looking for a Brogni if I either pull a legendary on the first pull. No, it's not very good legendary. I don't actually know how to say his name. Basilius Roanus. I think I've already got a copy of him on one of my accounts at least, and I've never used him. I think he's got an absolute smack on his A2, so he attacks one enemy 3 times, will ignore increase defense, shields, block damage, as well as 50% of the target's defense. So he can absolutely wipe out one member of the opposite team, so he could be quite good in arena for revives and stuff, for revivers and stuff like that. On his A1, he attacks one enemy, has an 80% chance of sealing one random buff from the target, has an 80% chance of placing a block buff debuff for 1 turn. So, I mean, his A1 is nothing special, I would say. Stealing one random buff at this point in the game with the evolution of the game and the champions in it, I would say it's not that interesting. On his A2, he has the smack, and then on his A3, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a stun, which does actually book up to 100%. So 100% stun on a champion isn't bad, but I think, you know, he's an attack champion, so he's going to be squishy. He might not be that helpful compared to someone like a Syl, who can be in any of your teams for any of the dungeons. But a legendary straight out the bat, that's always great to see. On to the next temple. So I'm always looking for the Brogni, just so I can make that Infinity clan boss team that I always talk about. And I'm mostly just looking for another copy of the Epic to make Emic easier on myself. Nothing of note in there, just Maeve and a load of rares, which I definitely don't need. They're going to be fed any second now. Yeah, so the Brogni, the Epic, and then just some of those standout champions that everyone wants. I'll take extra copies of this or of that. A Duchess is always nice to see, and any of those sorts of champions. Nothing of note in this pool. Deathless, Fodbar, and Clod, and Gizzard up there, not interested. I don't really need any epics, it's just legendaries that I'm looking for. On to the next one. Fingers crossed we get another legendary out of this. That will make my day. I mean, 100 Ancient Shards with the chances of 1% of a legendary. I think I could pull 2 in these 100, especially as I got the legendary on the first temple. I'll just make some room, guys, and then I'll be right back. I was just pumping all of my rares and the epics that I got from those temples, and I nearly fed the epic for the fusion. That would have been disastrous. I just was on autopilot and was adding these guys in. But enough of that. Let's get back into it. 64 shards left and another 100 on my other account. So loads of entertainment, loads of shards to pull. Let's hope I get another legendary on this account. If I get the Brogni, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to stop recording to celebrate, because I feel like it's going to be a bit embarrassing if I get the Brogni. I've been talking about him so much for so long. A Soul Drinker here, quite good in Arena, quite good for bombs, but not really a champion of note. I don't think he's really worth building over like a straight out nuker. I think a straight out nuker is just better. And Quarg and the Crowned, a bit of a speed booster, but again, we get speed boosters free from the game if you play it for long enough. So not a champion I think we need. On to the next temple. A legendary. Any legendary, and that'll make my day, I think. 2 out of 100. I think that's a reasonable thing to ask. Another Maeve, Jotun and Seneschal. Not interested. Moving on. On to the next temple. Fingers crossed we get that legendary. I just want to see gold. I want to see that lightning come across the screen. Deacon, I mean, Deacon is a legendary and an epic skin, and Masamoto. I've got Deacon. I don't need another copy necessarily, but I do think it's quite good to keep a copy of Deacon in the wings, just in case you have another need for him. He might be useful. He might be useful built for survivability in dungeons, but might be useful as a speed freak somewhere else. So I think he's a good champion to have multiple copies of. Again, I'm going to make some room and then we'll be right back. Right, this will be the last run, guys, the last 34, going into the first temple, 3 temples and 4 individual ancients, a royal guard straight out of the bat. What a great champion. I've got multiple copies of him. I don't need another one, so he will be fed. And then Yaga, the Insatiable. I actually did build Yaga on my Galek account for a clan boss affinity friendly team, so I needed a poisoner of every affinity. So Yaga was the only good poisoner I had at the time, so I did actually build him on my Galek account, but I've never used him since I got a complete affinity friendly unkillable team. So but yeah, not a very good champion, and I replaced him with the other force poisoner. I can't remember his name, but he was replaced quite quickly once I pulled that champion. On to the next temple. Fingers crossed we get another legendary. A legendary? Not all blues. Anchorite and all blues. Not interested. On to the next one. Is this the last one? The last temple of this account. And then we'll pull the 4 individual. And then we'll go on to my other account. My Galek account, I think. And then we will pull all of them. Caden. Really good for faction wars, but that is all I use him for. The 4 individual, fingers crossed, you never get a legendary from the individuals anyway. You always get them in a temple. A Tisita, I tried to say our name on the last video. I'm not going to try. and say that one again. A Tissita, I'm going to call her. On to the next one. Not interested. Don't really need the epics. I've got all the epics I want. An epic in a rare skin there, Apothecary. Actually, you know, I would say a solid go-to early game champion. Berserker. And the last one, a clutch legendary. No, that's not going to happen. A rare. So what I'll do, let's go and check my points. I'm second in the tournament by the looks of things. Yeah, second in the tournament. I mean, these are all the points I'm going to have over the weekend. So if these people that I'm neck and neck with or whatever, or I'm above, they're going to beat me if they pull any more shards. But let's pull these 2 legendary books, an epic book and a small soul shard. I'm going to keep the energy for when I need it for doing the champion training event that's on at the moment. And let's log on to my other account and we'll do exactly the same over there. And here we are, guys, on the Galek account. As you can see, I've got 100 ancients. So we had 104 on my Kale account. I've got 100 on my Galek account. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, and I'm going to pull these 2 epics just for the points. So again, just like on my other account, we're 50% there with the epic for the fusion now. We've got 2 fire guns. On both of them, and hopefully by the end of today, including the champion chase points, I'll have another copy and try and get a double whammy, because we still got the champion chase. If I can finish in the top 10 of the champion chase, I still get a reward, so it's still a double whammy for me. That's it. That's all the champions I have as backups. Hopefully, I'm going to have Yakal by the next champion chase if it's in line with a fusion. But hopefully I can start building some of these champions back up, because I like to keep them as spares for champion chases, just in case I don't have enough points. But enough of that. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video. Let's start pulling shards. Hopefully, we just get another legendary straight off the bat, just like on the other account. But I don't reckon we will with the look of this. A Duck the Pierced, not a champion I've built out. He was, for a while, Raid released loads of epic decreased defense champions. I think everyone wanted Stag Knight back then. Everyone wanted Stag Knight. He was the go-to decreased defense champion. And then they brought out loads of, they brought Armina, Duck, and Ugo. And there are a couple of other champions as well. But I've always just had Stag Knight. I had him quite early on, so he's the go-to champion for me for revivers. I use Ugo in Hydra, but Armina and Duck don't really get a look in, because I've already got those epic decreased defense champions. And I've got Lydia on both accounts now, so I definitely don't need them, because she's one of the best champions in the game. So Duck the Pierce, decreased defense, actually quite a good champion. If you have no other choice, absolutely build him as a decreased defense champion. On to the next one. A legendary. I've got 100 shards, so in theory, that's 1 legendary. In theory. Let's hope, with the luck of the last video, I didn't get any legendaries from pulling 12 sacreds between the 2 accounts, and I didn't get any legendaries on that one, so I'm hoping for at least 2 in this video. A Ripper and a Jareg. Jareg, again, really good champion. He's got a decreased attack on his A1, which means he's really good for early game clan boss if you don't have another champion to decrease attack. Again, I didn't build him out because I had Stag Knight, and Stag Knight could do decreased attack, decreased defense on the same move. On to the next one. Ripper was not interested in Ripper. Don't even know anything about him. Mordecai, one of the best epic burners in the game, does HP burn. Really good for Spider. Really good if you need sort of HP burn in any content. And a Royal Guard. I've got 2 Royal Guards built on this account. I don't need another one. Royal Guard is a max HP champion that I've never been able to utilise properly. Maybe I don't have the gear. I'm setting him up wrong or something like that. But he's not as useful as my Cold Heart, or on my Kale account I've got Septimus, and he has more utility than Septimus, but Septimus just hits so much harder, so I can put him in with a team with the utility needed. I don't need to use a sort of subpar damage Royal Knight when I can have Septimus and an Allure, for example. So I've never really found a use for Royal Guard. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but for me, I just haven't necessarily found a use for him. On to the next temple, though. Frostbringer, no way, no chance. Not going to build her. Not a champion for me. A legendary would be nice at this point, I think. We're getting to that point now where we may have done 50% of, we may have done 50 of these ancients, and I haven't had a legendary, and it's making me a bit upset. In fact, yes, we've done 50 exactly. I'm just going to make some room, guys. There was nothing on the last temple to talk about. I'm going to make some room, and we'll pull the remaining shards. Alright, guys, the last ancients, the last 50 ancients, let's go. If I don't get a legendary, it's rigged. The game is rigged against me. It's not good, because 100 shards, 1% chance of getting a legendary. That's literally the math. The math can't lie. Burgundy and Hotatsu, both, what are they called? What are they called? Shadowkin? Shadowkin champions. I've got a Burgundy. He is my Bommel solo champion for normal Bommel. I haven't actually built out a hard Bommel solo champion yet, so that's something I actually need to do on the next rotation, because my main aim at the moment in the game is trying to beat Doom Tower on every rotation. So I need to start looking into a solo Bommel champion that can do the hard levels, because Burgundy is not the Burgundy is not the champion to do that. On to the next temple. A legendary. We've got to get one soon. We've done 100 shards, or well, we've done 70 shards so far, and I must have had some mercy somewhere. So I'm getting a bit agitated now. I'm getting a bit worried. All blues on that one. Not interested. All gonna be food. All going to be chickens. Fenax, actually a really hard hitter, really good champion for, I think it's Hydra at the moment, I think people are using him in. Fenax, a really good champion, really hard hitting A1. Maeve, nothing to talk about. Baroth, the blood-soaked, no one is interested in you, mate. And we're not going to build you. So on to the next one. It's got to be soon. We're going to see it soon. Otherwise, the game is against me. Tyrell, really good champion early game anyway, and I think you can get him for a promo code as a new player. Got a decreased attack on his A1, just like Joreg, so it makes him a really good early game clan boss champion. Old Hermit Jorg, not a very good champion. I think he's a reviver for the Orc faction. Yeah, so he revives 2 random allies, so he's quite good for faction wars for the Orc faction if you don't have someone like a Shaman. Or he might actually be better than Shaman, but that's who I used in Faction Wars to beat it. On to the next temple. Fingers crossed. I'm praying. Yeah, there it is! Asilian the Lucky. Killian the Lucky, I think that is. An interesting champion. Not on my wish list, I would say. Let's go through his kit. So on his A1, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 35% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 35% chance of stealing 30% of the target's current turn meter. So he decreases the speed, steals some turn meter. On his A2, attacks all enemies, has an 100% chance of placing a block active skills debuff for 2 turns. On his A3, attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 2 turns and stealing 50% of the target's current turn meter. Resets the cooldown of this skill if the target is killed, but I don't think he's a very hard hitter, so I don't think that's going to happen too much. And then on his passive, places 2 of the following buffs on this champion for 2 turns at the start of each turn. So I guess it's 2 at random, maybe? Yeah, I think it must be. That's why he's lucky. So has places 2 of the following buffs on this champion for 2 turns at the start of each turn. So he's got increased attack, increased crit rate, increased crit damage, strengthen, block damage, and increase accuracy. So if there was some sort of way to control this, I think he could actually be quite a useful champion, but there isn't. It seems like it's probably random. Yeah, it'll be random, so probably not that good a champion because you can't predict anything, you can't set anything up for him. And then has a aura of attack in all battles by 25%. So, yep, there he is. Killian the Lucky, not a champion that I wanted, not on my wish list. He might actually be a dupe, but a legendary nonetheless. So the odds were correct. I pulled 100 shards and I got 1 legendary, just not really the legendary that I wanted. anymore. No, that's it for today, guys. So that is all the Ancient Shards. Everything I've pulled. We'll go and pick up the rewards. I'm only 5th in this tournament on my Galek account. But we'll pull these rewards. Always nice to have some more legendary books. And that's it from me. I'm just going to spend the rest of the weekend doing the Champion Chase tournament, not the Champion Training tournament, and any other tournaments that pop their head up, the Dungeon Divers included, just so I can make sure that I get the fusion done. He's a really good fusion. He has a unkillable, and he might be the access you need to be able to create an unkillable clan boss team for yourselves. So definitely, I would go for Emic Trunkheart if you're sort of amidst the tournaments and events that are going on at the moment. And that's it from me, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.